Coming up on the Racing Insiders, Audi brings a new car, a new R18 to test at Sebring. We have some background. The Pirelli World Challenge, some headlines that are developing there in a very exciting series for next year. The United Sports Car, big debate over entries fields and how they're being capped. We'll talk about that. And Jamie Whincup, maybe the toughest guy in all of racing worldwide. V8 Supercars, 5 titles. That's next on the Racing Insiders. Welcome back to another edition of the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Jeff Lepper is in Folsom, California. Let me remind you, this is the only place in broadcasting where you're going to get fresh sports car content every week, like at Sebring in Florida this week, where Audi tested their new R18 car. They didn't rest on their laurels from winning World Endurance Championships in manufacturers and drivers. They put a new car on the track, and they're beating it up already, getting ready for the new 2014 season and the new rules there. Jeff, that's an awesome test session, getting ready for a new car in the midst of a championship season.
Yeah, I got to think it's pretty cool that, they come to America, to Sebring, Florida, to do a test on their brand new car. All the different tracks, all the different places they can go worldwide, and they pick Sebring. And that's because that old World War II aircraft race course, very bumpy, very attritional. It has a lot of stuff. We always say we benchmark it on Le Mans, so it has a lot of different aspects of Le Mans. A big, long, fast section, really bumpy, some tight technical parts. It really is the closest thing to Le Mans, I think, in terms of testing, because 12 hours at Le Mans, or 12 hours at Sebring, is like 24 hours at Le Mans, and they run those cars for 25, 30, 40 hours just till they break to see what's going to fail.
It is an enormous test session. I've talked to some of the drivers when they take a break and go back to the hotel to rest a little bit. The guys that are going to be there this time are Benoit Trillier, Andre Fossler and Marcel Fossler and Andre Lauderer, the 2012 World Endurance Drivers Champions. They're testing the car. I guess it's kind of a slap on the wrist. They didn't complete their championship again this year. They lost it to the 2 car with Alan McNish, Tom Christensen, and Loic Duval. So they won the championship. They get the rest, and now before the holidays, the 2012 champions have to go. But it is important also, all the things that you mentioned, Jeff, but it's also important that they have test notes and they can compare the car from year to year and find out if they're improving or they're not. And it's 30 hours that they run the cars. They're trying to break it. They're trying to find out where the weak spots are so that they can fix those before the new season starts in the World Endurance Championship and especially at Le Mans. They used to run at Sebring when they ran in the ALMS. They would stay an extra couple of days, and they would really find out. It was their last major test before Le Mans. Now they have a lot of time before Le Mans, but they have a new car, and they could have gone quietly. And I have to think that some of this drum beating to let people know, hey, we're down there testing, is to let people know that they're there and to get people like us to talk about Audi in the off season. That's pretty important as a marketing plan.
Well, remember, the World Endurance Championship just ended 2 weeks ago, so now here we are, 2 weeks after the season is done and over with, and they're already testing. That shows the commitment that this Audi team has. I think finishing second in the World Endurance Championship and getting a slap on the wrist and getting to go drive an Audi at Sebring for 30 hours is a pretty good slap on the wrist. Can I volunteer to do that?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So if you are in Central Florida and you hear these Jurassic sounds of a diesel going bananas for hour after hour after hour, that's at Sebring, where Audi is having their way, getting ready for the 2014 and the new rules in 2014. While they were winning a championship this year, they were building this new car and getting ready for the new season. Big headline in the Pirelli World Challenge this week, some tire testing at Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Jeff, what's the latest?
Well, it was a great tire test. Unfortunately, the weather didn't quite cooperate. We had temperatures in the 30s and 40s when on Monday before the test last week it was 89 degrees, so not the ideal situation, but a really good test for a lot of new teams that are coming in. Dragon Speed had their brand new Audi R8 LMS there. They did one race with it last year. It's coming back this year to race in 2014. They also had their brand new Ferrari 458 Italia in the GT3 trim. We had 3 different tire compounds for our touring car, TCA, and TCB guys to try out. Just a lot of great exciting news coming through Pirelli World Challenge now, allowing the GT3 spec cars, FIA full spec, to come over and run their full aero packages in the GT category. It's really shaping up to be a very, very exciting year. A lot of great announcements coming from a lot of great teams. Also a lot of scuttlebutt, and I think you've got some of that from your side, Bill, too, on teams that have said, hey, we're really looking at Pirelli World Challenge.
Before we get to that, I talked to Andy Pilgrim, to drop a name here, last week, and he was saying that this GT3 invasion is going to be pretty significant. How do you see, do you think they'll be able to balance the performance between these cars? He says the GT3 cars are faster than anything in Pirelli World Challenge.
Well, race drivers are always going to say that. I mean, if a Honda shows up and is faster than any driver on one given day, that's the fastest car to have. I think with Jeff Carter now, this is his 3rd year coming in on 2014, head of the competition department. He's got Dan Goodman now that's sort of just handling the touring car section. So that really gives a good chance with Kevin Fandozzi, Jeff Carter, to sit down, do the balance performance on these GT3 cars. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is our rule set has been consistent now. We've had our competition compartment be consistent. Our tracks and that we're going to and the schedule has been consistent. I think there's nothing but positives for the 2014 season.
You're absolutely right, Jeff. There was at the 25 hours of Thunderhill this week, Al Unser Jr. made an appearance back into a race car, and he said that the main thing he wanted to do was to race with his son, A3 they call him. But he said that he was very interested in getting ready for that race to start racing again, maybe in sports cars. And he was really a lot of appeal in the Pirelli World Challenge because of the sprint race aspects. You get started and stopped, and the consistency of the rules. The same thing you just talked about. That was an appeal to Al Unser Jr. So there's a name that may, I repeat, may come into the series. Maybe it's more likely his son would come in, but maybe Al Jr. might be in a car. And the other thing that you can expect, that with the GT3 cars coming in and Porsche supporting those GT3 cars, in the past, Porsche has supported those cars with their 10 factory drivers. Patrick Long, in fact, won the championship, was it 2011? So we could expect maybe to see some very big headline names come into the Pirelli World Challenge. Don't you think, Jeff?
Oh, I think we'll see big names from drivers. You mentioned the Porsche background there. What if we get some of these Audi drivers? We've had that happen before. Global Motorsports Group plans on bringing 4 cars. We have Dragon Speed that's going to have their Audi R8 LMS. Yeah, the last race at Houston, they brought in Rene Rast. So Audi's brought in factory drivers. We got, with the GT3, we have a McLaren could bring in people. They can bring in cars. Mercedes SLS GT3 with Black Swan Racing, they're going to run their car again. Will we see another one? Will they bring in a factory driver? What if Mercedes comes in? I mean, it's shaping out to be a really, really great year. Exciting stuff in sports cars.
And with the 25-hour again, you mentioned Global Motorsports Group, GMG, their Audi was running at the end of the 25 hours at Thunderhill. They were running in the top 2 or 3 cars. So they're testing already. We mentioned Audi doing a 30-hour test or so at Sebring. GMG is doing the same kind of thing, testing for 25 hours, getting ready for the Rolex 24, the United Sports Car Championship, and getting ready for the Pirelli World Challenge, the Audi R8s. And James Sofronis, they weren't taking it lightly. Team leader James Sofronis was in one of those Audis at the 25-hour. So things are pretty serious now, getting ready, and with the Pirelli World Challenge moving every year, moving up the ladder as a destination series, I think that's a real thing to watch for Americans interested in sports car racing here in the United States. I know Jeff, he goes to all the races. I know Jeff feels the same way.
Oh, I absolutely do. I mean, it's exciting to see that, and I'm really glad with the merger of United Sports Car that we do have one set now in sports car racing in America. We have a sprint race series and we have an endurance race series, and I think that's going to help out the fan base on both sides and help grow both of these series to be the upper echelon of sports car racing in the world.
In fact, we're going to talk about the United Sports Cars Series next, and we've got some real differences of opinions between Jeff and I. They announced the new entry fields, and that triggered a firestorm. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is the Racing Insiders. It's the season of giving, so before we go to our next segment, let's talk about your investment in us and our investment in you, how we give to each other through the Racing Insiders. Go to our Indiegogo page, our crowdfunding page, and you'll get a chance to participate in gifts from our marketing partners, including GoPro cameras, fan experiences at the Tudor United Sports Car Championship, and the Pirelli World Challenge. This is with the Mazda Owners Group, iRacing memberships, and gifts from TrackMate. So go to theracinginsiders.com/Indiegogo. Participate in an investment in your favorite sports car racing show.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com. For racers, by racers. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Go on a high-speed ride with the Racing Insiders, the world's only weekly look at sports car racing. The biggest names, the biggest events, the biggest headlines, every week on the Racing Insiders. From a modest start, the Racing Insiders has grown into a global presence through passion, hard work, aggressive drive, an award-winning host, and the greatest minds in sports car racing. Now, the Racing Insiders is expanding, and you can get on board. Take part in our funding effort at Indiegogo. Valuable rewards from our partners are there for your support at Indiegogo.com. The Racing Insiders. Consider an investment in exclusive sports car racing excitement every week. Get behind the wheel, drive exclusive racing content you want and can't find anywhere else. The Racing Insiders. Make an investment in your passion.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. Let's get right into a big story. The United Sports Car, Tudor United Sports Car Championship announced new fields. They said that they were going to have confined fields, definitive fields, and they weren't going to let guys just walk up and buy a ticket on race day. But they've shown the ability to expand those fields. We have some very different opinions on whether or not that's a good thing. Jeff and I are going to talk about that a little bit now. Jeff, you don't like it too much, do you?
Yeah, Bill, I said from the beginning that I think it was just a marketing ploy to limit the field entries. I think they did that so they can get people to have more interest in this series from the forefront. Let's get people entered. Let's get teams confirmed so we know this. And that proves that they've already thrown that out the window when they allowed more entries into the GT category than they said they were going to allow. So they've already proven that concept already.
And I have to go the other direction a little bit, Jeff, because I've said I'm a big believer in franchises, and I'm a big believer in audience and fans. And fans, when they pay to go to a race, they want to make sure they see the same people each time. And in the European Rallycross Championship, now the World FIA World Championship, they have, say, 17 guys that are committed at the beginning of the year. So fans know that when they show up, the same people are going to be there. Same in Formula Drift. And fans know that the same guys are generally going to be there. Same thing in Global Rallycross. So I'm kind of a believer in this. So I have to kind of disagree. I don't think that it's a a bad thing. I think when the rules get to be rubbery and they change them just for the sake of changing them, then that's difficult for people to keep up with. So yeah, I think there's something to be said for what they're trying.
Well, I mean, obviously with the Daytona and the NASCAR tie-in, are you asking for provisionals now, and you want, set fields and numbers, and the top 35 always qualify like they do in the roundy-round NASCAR stuff, or?
No, I don't think there needs to be provisionals, and I think that's something we have to watch out for because they've shown the ability to do that kind of thing. But I think that knowing that the fans know that when they show up, that they're going to see the major names in each category. If you're a prototype challenge fan or a Daytona prototype or P2 or whatever, I think they're going to have a hard time. For example, Dyson has some very real fans. And if Dyson's not going to be in the Tudor Championship, these fans might go away. The Muscle Milk, they won how many straight races? In 9 straight races, 2 straight championships. Muscle Milk found a way to get in the prototype challenge with the car they had back on the shelf. So the Muscle Milk fans are going to be satisfied, but and all of the Daytona prototype, or most of the Daytona prototype people, those that can afford, are going to be there again. But when fans expect to see somebody and don't see them, then they get a little disgruntled and they go to the Pirelli World Challenge.
Well, I mean, I think that the whole limiting the field thing is complete. I just don't understand that. When I ran Grand Am Cup back in '05, we had 108 cars for Daytona. So I just don't understand why you have to limit the field. I think if it truly is for the fans, like you're saying, why not open it up and let anybody that has the means to come run, say the 24 hours of Daytona or the Saline 6 hours at Watkins Glen or the 12 hours of Sebring. If you can put the program together, you can pay your entry fee, you can come, great. You'll still get all your regular guys, but why not have these great teams that come in that can put just a program together for those long endurance races? Heck, I think it'd be great from a fan perspective to watch that.
Yeah, and I guess the other side of that coin is to the argument that you can't just walk up to a Major League Baseball game and say, hey, I want to play. I could pitch pretty good, or let me take a chance at batting. I can hit it over the fence. You want to know that the top levels, the upper echelon, the top guys are the top guys, and there's a place for those. And there's a place like the Continental Tire, the support series, for people to go racing who can't afford or don't want to commit to the top levels, the major leagues of racing, like the United Sports Car Championship. One more thing, and then we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point there. I think we're going to have to see how the season plays out. I hope there's teams that are waiting to come in that they do get a chance to run. I hope it's a really great show. I mean, I'm excited from a fan to watch the Tudor United Sports Car Championship race, and I'll be one of the guys that'll be there at Daytona watching that 24-hour race and see how this transpires. And you just hope for, as a fan, that it's going to play out and work out okay.
Yeah, I guess that's where we do have agreement. One of the guys who would like to come here to the United States and race in some of the series we've been talking about, Pirelli World Challenge or the Tudor United Sports Cars, especially NASCAR, Jamie Whincup won his 5th championship in V8 Supercars. He said he's told me in the past he would like to come to the United States and maybe have some of the success that Marcus Ambrose has had. Jeff, how do you think Jamie Whincup would work here in the United States?
I think it would be a blast to see him come out. I mean, 5 championships in 6 years, 3 in a row now for him in the V8 Supercars. He won race 35 there at Sydney. He finished a 3rd in race 36 on Sunday. I think it's just a blast to see him doing that. He was actually needed to finish 21st in that last race to clinch the championship. Here he is fighting for a podium, and he says, I knew I should have backed up, but I just can't help but race. That was his quote. I think that's awesome to have a guy like that in America. That'd be awesome. That'd be really good.
Yeah, I heard him in one of the news conferences say that he had a pretty easy race, but I looked in my rear view mirror and everybody else didn't have that. He saw a lot of carnage and he kind of chuckled. So, yeah, he was out front, and he's been out front in the series for about 3 or 4 years now. He's sponsored by Red Bull. You think Red Bull could gain anything by bringing him here? They kind of passed on NASCAR, but Red Bull could gain something by being in the Tudor United Sports Cars or especially in the Pirelli World Challenge with its TV package. You think there's a place for Jamie Whincup in World Challenge?
Oh, absolutely. I think we could even bring over that V8 supercar, not this year's model because it is a tube-frame car, but bring over a couple-year-old model. And that's basically a nice built race car that's unibody that Pirelli World Challenge bases them off of a production-based series and have him run. I think we should bring that car over and have him run.
I think there's certainly a place for him. Here's a guy who loves chocolate cake and loves personal watercraft. And sure enough, we laughed about this. He likes to barbecue outside. So yes, Jamie Whincup, Australian V8 supercar driver, loves to put some shrimp on the Barbie and have a good time. So yeah, I would like to see him here. I'd like to see his wish fulfilled, maybe Red Bull. And he runs for Holden in Australia. GM, maybe GM could find a way to get him here, put him in a Corvette in the Tudor United Sports Car Championship, or maybe a spare Cadillac or something. Maybe they could find a way to have him race here. I would love to see him. I think he's got, if you could make those curbs work in V8 supercars, I'm sure you can make the curbs work in the Pirelli World Challenge. Jeff, what are you going to be doing this weekend?
Well, I'm heading over to PRI in Indianapolis, Indiana for the show, and excited to see what happens at the performance racing industry, what new headlines are going to be with people joining either Pirelli World Challenge or that Tudor United Sports Car Championship. A couple of press release set, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, the PRI is a major show, not as big as the Autosport show there in the UK, but it's a major show here in the United States after the SEMA show that we had about a month ago. And we are going to be here. The Racing Insiders will be here the next couple of weeks. We'll have shows during the holidays. I think you'll enjoy them. We'll get a chance to talk about what's happened during the season, and we'll reprise some of the interviews, some of the people that we've talked to, the biggest names in motorsport. That'll be here on the Racing Insiders over the next couple of weeks. Until then, for Jeff Lepper in Folsom and Bill Wood in Los Angeles, take care of each other, respect each other. Peace.